guys, Mike MBell556 here, and in today's video we're going to talk about the long-term storage of ammunition in a ready-to-use condition for the AR-15 and other STANAG NATO standard rifles. Now we're not talking about the long-term storage of bulk ammunition. The military uses the standard ammo cans for this, and for very good reason. Those standard ammo cans are cheap, they're easy to stack, and for bulk ammunition that would certainly be the way to go. What I'm reviewing is the long-term storage of ammunition in a ready-to-go condition. And ready to go means two things. It means ready to use, that is ready to put in the rifle, and it means ready to transport. Specifically, we're looking at 10 30-round magazines, fully loaded and contained within one Pelican 1200 case. So first let's talk about the ready-to-use aspect of ready to go. These magazines that we're talking about are standard USGI aluminum magazines, 30-round magazines. STANAG, S-T-A-N-A-G, stands for Standardization Agreement, and it's a NATO standardization agreement regarding magazines for the NATO rifles. Now, that standardization refers to the parts of the magazine that fit inside the mag well, the feed lips, the dimensions inside the mag well, the lockup. Those are standardized. Everything on the magazine outside of the mag well is not standardized. So what we're talking about is a AR-15 magazine that is a standard USGI magazine that will fit in the case that we're going to talk about today. So we're excluding other magazines like Magpul magazines or the Lancer magazines that are also very good magazines, but even though they're inside the magwell dimensions are NATO standard, outside dimensions are not, and they will not fit in this situation. What we are talking about though is AR-15 magazines that will fit in a variety of other NATO rifles. There are dozens of rifles that an AR-15 magazine will fit in. I have about a half a dozen myself, including the AR-15, the Bushmaster M17S bullpup gun, the Kel-Tec SU-16, an FNC, the FN-FS-2000, and the SIG-556. And there are more than a dozen other rifles that these magazines will work in. So keep that in mind. If you use the standard USGI magazines, this technique is going to work for you. Now there's a lot of concern about leaving magazines loaded over a long period of time. You can find all kinds of discussion on the internet regarding this. The concern is that over a long period of time, if you leave a magazine loaded and the springs are fully compressed, that those springs will weaken with time and the magazine won't be good 5 or 10, 15 years down the road. Now basically there are two issues with springs and wear and tear. One is fatigue, spring fatigue, and the other is called spring creep. Now, when springs are manufactured, they are manufactured within certain parameters. This is a standard AR-15 magazine spring with a follower. And when a magazine spring is manufactured, it is manufactured with a certain resistance to movement. Okay, that's going to deliver a certain spring tension. It's also manufactured with a specific range of both compression and extension. Fatigue is microscopic damage to the spring when it's cycling through its normal range of compression and extension. So basically fatigue is the normal wear and tear from use of a spring. But that fatigue occurs only when they're cycling between compression and extension. Spring creep is damage to the spring when it's either compressed or extended beyond its manufacturer designed parameters. So if you take a spring, this spring is also designed to have a certain relaxed length. And if I were to pull this spring and stretch it out to about 4 feet, then that's going to damage that spring because it was not designed to extend that far. Now, a magazine spring for the AR-15 is designed to be compressed to the full 30-round loading of an AR-15 magazine. That's not compressing the magazine beyond its design parameters. So the point of this, if you have a high-quality magazine with a high-quality spring, and you compress this spring within its design parameters, then you will not have creep, and you will not have spring fatigue because this spring is not going through its normal cycling. So assuming there's no rust or other physical damage to the spring, you should be able to have an AR-15 magazine fully loaded without damaging the spring over a long period of time. So we should be fine storing ammunition in this ready to go, ready to use condition. Now the second part of ready to go is ready to transport. And this is where the Pelican 1200 case comes in. What I've found is that a Pelican 1200 case will fit 10 USGI standard 30-round magazines, and they fit perfectly. This case has the egg crate type top and a thin layer of foam on the inside. In this situation, you can take 10 USGI magazines and they will fit perfectly with very little wiggle room, and then the foam compresses these just enough to really secure these. So you can see that 10 magazines will just absolutely fit perfectly and snugly. Now what I like about these Pelican cases is, well, lots of things. They're waterproof, shockproof, dent-proof. They're designed to stack. They come with a nice collapsible folding handle, so they're easy to grab and transport when you need them. You don't have to worry about them rusting. You don't have to worry if you toss them around, they're not going to get dented or damaged. They're very tough cases. And if you have one of these cases with 10 magazines, this, for instance, this case has been loaded. I have 10 magazines. I have 300 rounds of MK318. And this case weighs less than 14 pounds. So it's a weight that's fairly usable as far as ease of grabbing this and transporting it. If you take a standard ammo can that the military uses, you're talking about close to 50 pounds to pick up that can. The other thing about those cans, if you're transporting them, if you're going to grab them and go with them, they can be dented and damaged. And if you dent that can in the wrong place, you're going to break that O-ring seal. Then the can isn't waterproof anymore. They're also subject to rust over a long period of time. So in summary, what we have is 300 rounds in 10 30-round magazines ready to use, ready to go, and ready to transport, and a waterproof, shockproof, rust-proof, dent-proof case that weighs a little less than 14 pounds. Now remember, I'm not talking about storing a large amount of bulk ammunition this way, but I think it's certainly reasonable to have some magazines ready to go, ready to use, and they're stored in a way that will protect both the ammunition and the magazines over a long period of time. I hope you found the information useful. If you did, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.